Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right, the dry air, the cold, dry air just destroyed my voice yesterday. So we'll get through. It's a lot better than it was earlier.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, man.
Yeah, this time of year, we're getting our fall in mid-December, basically.
Oh, the leaves are beautiful in my neighborhood.
It's just gorgeous. But the air is dry, takes it out of you. This weekend, I thought I was going to have a relapse of my illness, and I got into a coughing fit, and I was like, oh my gosh, not again. But we'll push through it. Yeah.
It's always interesting when I tell people, they go, well, when's your autumn? You know, when do your leaves change? I go, well, not as much as they do up north, but if they do change, it's between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And they're like, come on. I go, no, it's when they change.
Yeah. I mean, usually on Thanksgiving, it's a fairly warm day. It's usually, 70s. We usually have a pretty warm day, relatively speaking. It's not cool at all until now. I have seen a white Halloween in North Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I've never seen.
It actually was before Halloween because we were doing this thing, the radio station I was at, was doing this thing in this park. And we had to go out and clear the trail. It was a Halloween thing where people walked through it. We had to go out and clear the trail to make sure that that everybody could see where they were walking. We had to clear the snow. It wasn't much, but it was enough to cover the ground. Yeah, but that's rare, extremely rare. It's probably, I'm guessing, I think it's safe to say it hasn't happened since. But we got our fall. Usually there's some kind of really cold blast for a couple of days in late October and sometimes early November. But this year, we got down to freezing yesterday and the day before.
27 degrees, right?
Yeah. All my leaves on my one tree fell off. That's how I knew. I woke up in the afternoon and I was like, oh, okay. Now we're good. But yeah, this is fall for us. And it'll last until about mid-February, and then spring will start. Oh, no, we'll have a week of winter. We'll have 2 days of winter.
Right around middle February is when we normally get it, right?
Yeah.
What a day it was yesterday. Lots of news out there.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of news. You know, you and I were talking about yesterday the Brown University shooting, and not what a lot of people look at as the incompetence of the press conferences that were held, but just the actual investigation and what we have been told.
Right.
And I know the one thing that, yesterday came out, it came out from law enforcement. He was definitely targeting Brown University. And it's like, okay, you've got that, because one of the things that was talked about was, well, wait a minute, you gave you removed the shelter. What do they call it? The
shelter in place.
Yeah,
order.
The shelter in place order.
Mm-hmm.
You got a guy out there that attacked your university.
Right.
What's going on? You can't. How can you say things are safe when you don't know who it is?
Yep.
And those are some of the things that we talk about. We're like, well, that's just basic. Look, you need to be prepared. The university needs to either completely and totally increase the number of security guards or police or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I was reading here, Jim Garrity had less than reassuring answers in the Brown University shooting, and he said this morning my attention is on the mass shooting at the Brown University, where the shooter is still at large, and the public statements from law enforcement and university officials have been anything but clarifying.
Right.
Read on. And you and I mean, there was so much news yesterday, but that was, we looked at that and we went, is it just us, or is...
Well, when they didn't reimpose the shelter in place after they said that investigation was going a different direction, and the original person of interest, there was every reason to believe that person should be released, and then they were released, and authorities were saying that the media had released the name of the person. Some of the media had released the name of the person, the original person of interest, and that caused a concern with them, but the questions all came back to, wait a minute, you're saying authorities are not reimposing the shelter in place, and you're saying that the community is and the campus at Brown University is safe.
Right.
How can you say that when you don't know who did this?
Right. Now, if law enforcement, yesterday was talking about the fact that, look, we believe that there is no danger to the community, after the murder in Brentwood yesterday with Rob Reiner, Rob Reiner's murder and his wife.
Right.
It's because they believed it was his son.
Yeah, it was targeted. It was
right. Right.
This is who the killer went after. Yeah. And if that's the case in Brown University, and they have reason to believe that, then is that not something they could release, at least that part of the investigation? I understand not wanting to release details here because you compromise the integrity of the investigation. But it's confusing when you're saying we don't know who did it. Then they release more video, grainy video, and then some clearer pictures right after that yesterday afternoon. And it was, all right, but what are you telling us? What does the community need to know about what's going on here and the possible risks?
Here's from Jim Garrity in National Review. The teaching assistant who was running the study review session told the Washington Post the shooter yelled something unintelligible, and he was carrying the largest gun I've ever seen in my life. A law enforcement source told the Associated Press that the shooter had fired more than 40 rounds from a 9mm handgun. The shooter killed 2 students and injured 9 more, according to a statement from Brown University president released on Sunday. 7 of the students are in critical but stable condition. 1 remains in critical condition. At this point, we do not know the shooter's motive, and we do not know if the shooter's motive is related to the professor of the class, but considering the events in Australia and the timing of the shooting near the start of Hanukkah, the professor's identity seems worth noting. Rachel Friedberg is a teaching professor of economics, a faculty associate of the program of Judaic Studies and the Faculty Association of the Population Studies and Training Center. Friedberg earned her Ph.D. at MIT, joining Brown as an assistant professor, and for 4 years served on the faculty of the Department of Economics at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Her research focuses on the economics of immigration, specifically the econometric analysis of the outcomes and impacts of immigrants in the United States and Israel, about which she has testified before Congress and participated in committee deliberations in Israel. She is currently exploring the intersection of economics and Jewish studies. Friedberg's Principles of Economics course is the most popular class at Brown, taken by half of all undergraduates. And then there goes the first victim of the deadly shooting at Brown University has been identified as a sophomore student and vice president of the Student College Republican Club, Ella Cook, according to her Alabama parish and a former classmate. The news of Cook's death was shared during a service at the Cathedral Church of the Advent in her hometown of Birmingham. Cook was one of the church's parishioners who fostered a deep engagement with the community through her frequent service at the church, a priest said during the Mass. Now, perhaps it is entirely coincidental that the professor of the class targeted was part of the university's program of Judaic Studies and had ties to Israel, and perhaps it is also a coincidence that the vice president of the Students' College Republicans is among those killed. Perhaps the shooter is just some nut, but after the assassination of Charlie Kirk and all the post-October 7th anti-Semitism rampant on college campuses, these are not irrational thoughts about potential motives and why the shooter selected this particular time and place for his rampage. On Sunday, the Providence Police Department detained who they called a person of interest, but shortly after midnight, the department posted on X tonight, we announced that the person of interest is being released. The investigation has been ongoing and remains fully active between all agencies. Since the first call to 911, we have not received any specific threats to our community. Boy, that word specific is doing a lot of work in that sentence, because there is a mass shooter on the loose, and it's not like he announced his intentions beforehand. Providence Mayor Brett Smiley told the public in a late Sunday evening press conference, ever since the initial call now a day and a half ago, we have not received any credible or specific threats to the Providence community, so the status of safety in our community remains unchanged, and we believe that you remain safe in the community. Yes, but everyone believed they were safe in the community Saturday morning, too.
Right.
And that's the whole point. I mean, that's where you sit there and you go, wait, this isn't making sense. If you've got a shooter out there and you're saying there's no specific threats, well, there were none before the shooting.
Right.
It doesn't, it's almost as if, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Comey. James Comey.
Mm-hmm.
We always talked about it. It doesn't sound like these are investigators or people, and I know you're talking about the college president or whatever, but it should be in the form of the investigation and something that sounds reasonable that the public can pick up on and say, okay, we feel safe. No, the shooter's out there, everything's safe. Was somebody targeted?
Well, because the university should be taking the lead from investigators in terms of what precautions should be in place at the moment. And it just sounds like, again, if you think this was some kind of personal motivation, they were targeting one or two people specifically, and not just a random shooting where they're just firing off rounds, which, by the way, by all accounts, that's what it sounds like it was. If you're going through that many dozens of rounds, then you need to say that to the people, the students there at Brown, and to the people of the community. You need to say, we believe this was targeted. This was a personal attack. We don't believe that the shooter is out for anybody else. Or we believe the shooter has left the area. We have reason to believe. It sounds like they don't know. And for some reason, they don't want to reimpose a shelter in place.
Yeah.
Does that have to do with finals? I don't know. I can't tell you, because it's all over the place. And the longer this goes on without clarity, the more questions there will be. I understand them not having too many leads on the investigation, or jumping on, again, a person of interest and that not being the right person. That happens in investigations. But now you've got students who have work to complete.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on in the investigation. Nobody really does.
Right.
But we do know what they have told the public, and we're all sitting back here, and it started yesterday. I go, are we missing something? This doesn't seem
right.
There seems to be no connection of the dots. Here you're saying there's a mass shooter out there, but don't worry about it.
Right.
Why?
Right.
And that's what you say. We believe it was specifically, when they said, they was specifically, we believe, targeted to Brown University. Well, then that's not just the professor.
Right.
And I don't know whether it was a professor or not. We don't know. But if you're saying Brown University is safe, even though we believe the person targeted Brown University and they're on the loose.
Right. Well, and that's it, because we heard from the very beginning of the story breaking that the person shouted something.
Yes.
Well, what did they shout? Nobody seems to know. Well, okay, but if it's targeting a professor, if it is targeting the professor and it is anti-Semitism, and you're trying to walk on eggshells around it, you've got an even bigger problem because, again, you're not looking out for the safety of the students and the people of that community. You're walking on eggshells and trying to be careful about what you say in the media.
Without even realizing, well, maybe you do realize, I can't make that assumption, with the message to the public, which is, we don't know.
Right.
And so just go about your own business, and you should be safe. But the shooter's on the loose. Explain this to me.
Right.
Nah, we don't think so.
Right. There wouldn't be a coordination between investigators and the campus to make sure, I don't know, there's much greater security that's in place, or some way for the students who haven't finished their finals to finish those finals, whether remotely or some other way, but they could be safe and not have to worry about being on campus where they might, again, be targets. This is bizarre.
It is. Really is. We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at JJ Keller. In order to manage speed, you need to understand the 4 factors involved in stopping a vehicle. Perception distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time you see a hazard until your brain recognizes it. The perception time for an alert driver is approximately 3/4 of a second. Reaction distance is the distance a vehicle travels from the time your brain tells your foot to move from the accelerator until your foot hits the brake pedal. The average driver has a reaction time of 3/4 of a second. Brake lag distance also needs to be taken into account. When operating a vehicle with air brakes, it takes about half a second for the mechanical operation to take place. Finally, braking distance is the distance it takes a vehicle to stop once the brakes are applied. Braking distance is affected by the weight, length, and speed of the vehicle, as well as road condition. This tip was brought to you by JJ Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Coming up, and not just today, but I mean in future shows, that the Turtle Island Liberation Front, that pro-Hamas, and from what I know, they were all Americans, American citizens, but the attacks that they were going to do on, was it New Year's Eve, New Year's Day?
Yeah.
In L.A. Did you see the video? I want to know that entire story, because you see the video it showed them practicing in the desert.
Yeah,
right. The IEDs.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God. Well,
no, they meant it.
Yeah.
And
it's the same as, and it's the same as when you and I look at. And it's not far from where I am, the ICE detention facility, about 15 miles from me.
Mm-hmm.
Then think about that. You had a dozen people meet, all American citizens from what I know, meet on the internet and decide to commit a terrorist act to kill unarmed ICE agents.
Right. Authorities said they didn't know each other before that attack.
Yeah.
I want to know more about that one. The one which was a single shooter at the facility just a few miles from here.
Oh yeah.
And it's but the one that was down there in closer to where you live was several people who had never met each other. They met online. Wow, and they were all motivated that deeply.
But they had 20 people in that one.
Yeah.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio Season's greetings from the Uniden America Studios.
And we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Really interesting because, first let me play one of the FBI spokesperson in California yesterday talking about this would be what do they call it? The Turtle Island Liberation Front. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll highlight some of the items found during those searches over the weekend. For example, in Carroll's residence, law enforcement found multiple posters and materials associated with Turtle Island Liberation Front, including posters stating, quote, "Death to America, long live Turtle Island and Palestine," and, quote, "Death to ICE, Turtle Island Liberation Front." In Page's residence, law enforcement found a copy of the detailed bomb attack plan. This case is another reminder about the dangers that radicalized Antifa-like groups pose to public safety and the rule of law.
Interesting because they bring up here, because Attorney General Pam Bondi called the Turtle Island a far-left, pro-Palestine, anti-government, and anti-capitalist organization.
Yeah.
None of this is as contradictory as it may sound to rational observers. The potentially violent talk themselves into a variety of rationales for political violence, and many of them subscribe to what the FBI refers to as salad bar terrorism. In short, the addled and violently inclined cobble their own blend of ideologies together to craft an extremist doctrine that justifies the violence in which they were already inclined.
One of the Instagram accounts said, "Free Palestine, free Hawaii, free Puerto Rico. Freeing the world from American imperialism is the only way to a safe and peaceful future." I mean, and Turtle Island, by the way, is an indigenous name used to refer to North America.
Yeah, exactly right. Right.
And they wanted to basically, they're looking to free Turtle Island, again, North America, from the illegal American empire. So it's everything. I like this salad bar reference because it's everything. It is death to America for every reason.
But the umbrella of an isolation, and not isolationist, an imperialist America during a Trump administration.
Right.
Except for Greenland.
And maybe Canada if it becomes a 51st state.
Although whatever happened on the Greenland thing, that was...
I don't know. I think we may have taken it in the middle of the night one night.
That was
I'm not sure.
There's been nothing on Greenland in ages, has there? Nothing.
No.
But to sit there and talk about an imperialist country during the Trump administration.
Yeah. Right. This is
really pretty.
Well, if you look at the pictures,
delusional.
Yeah, if you look at the pictures of these individuals.
Okay, well, hold it. Let me look over. Let me go over here and look at this.
Yeah, okay.
I have not seen the picture.
All right, here. This is the four individuals. It says, by the way, it says 4 alleged members of this again, a Turtle Island Liberation Front. The acronym is TILF. I didn't write that. Fox News did. But these are 4 fairly young-looking individuals.
Is that Lynette Squeaky? Is that Lynette Squeaky Thrum there?
The what?
Lynette from the Manson crew?
Oh,
one second from the left?
I don't know. Because there's no name under that picture.
Lynette Squeaky From?
Yeah.
I swear to God, I looked at it.
Yeah.
And the guy doesn't, but the women look like, because it's 3 women, right?
3 women and one man.
3 women and one.
Well,
all right. All right.
We don't know how they identify.
We apologize.
3 persons.
That's on me.
With longer hair, 1 person with a beard and shorter hair. So We don't know how they identify. We are not sure. But you look at this situation, and I have to believe, too, based on the images of this, the training grounds, out in the desert, and what they were doing out in the Mojave, basically trying to get ready here for this, what authorities say was going to be an attack on New Year's Eve there in the L.A. area. I have to believe it's more than just these four. Because we look at the attack that we were talking about, the one in the southern part of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex on the ICE facility. By the way, authorities say that they have reason to believe that this group may have had plans to target ICE as well. But you look at those individuals, and it was a larger group than what we're seeing here, according to the arrests. Now, I didn't hear anywhere or read anywhere where the authorities say these are the only four that were involved. I'm not sure whether they are or not, but if you look at the scope of this and the organization itself, the presence on social media. I said this about that group that targeted ICE and was shooting at ICE on
Alvarado.
In Alvarado.
Right.
That has to be a much larger network. I have to believe there are other individuals who were at the very least aware. I could be wrong, but if you look at the nature of that, those are the ones that came together, and authorities telling us that the group in Alvarado came together online, didn't know each other before that event. And those were the ones that were motivated to the extent of coming together and actually carrying out that attack. And so you look at these four here from the Turtle Island Liberation Front terror plot, and I have to wonder how many more could be in that group online, and what are authorities looking at? They're saying that there was, according to the FBI, this is from FoxNews.com, they were allegedly planning coordinated bombing attacks on New Year's Eve using, again, IEDs, targeting 5 separate locations across Los Angeles. And to me, that sounds like a plan. If that is accurate, that sounds like a plan that requires more than 4 people.
And separately, a 5th individual allegedly linked to TILF was arrested in New Orleans while reportedly planning a separate
attack. Yes, I was going to get to that. So, but I would have to think this was a much larger group. Maybe they just don't have the evidence to bring other individuals to justice and arrest them at this point. But this has to be of great concern. Because, again, this approach of their motivation, if you look at the motivation, it's everything. It's basically destroy America. It is death to America for every reason.
Free Palestine, free Hawaii, free Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Pro-terrorism, anti-capitalism, anti-imperialism,
free Palestine,
climate change activists. I mean, and that's, frankly, that's scary when brainwashing gets to that level.
It is basically attack for every reason, which would mean that the motivation would be never ending.
Right. You're always justified.
Right.
Because you just pick from the smorgasbord of ideas there that you believe is worth killing other human beings.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. This is, again, Something I've been saying since October 7th, for over 2 years now. Since October 7th, there are the radicals on one side, and on the other side, everybody else. You're on one side or the other.
You know, one of the things that you saw yesterday was, what did Australia think was going to happen? You know, when you talk about the globalize the intifada, well, you just saw the result. I think it was Guy Benson on Fox News said that yesterday. He goes, well, this is what happened. You say these words. These are the words in action.
You're giving support to the people who, in their mind, believe it is their mission then to target Jews. You're giving them support by doing that. I said yesterday, here in the States, since October 7th, all the radicals that have been pro-Palestine and pro-Hamas, that if we ever, God forbid, if we ever have another attack like a 9/11 on American soil, they'll be cheering the attackers. This is what radicals do. Not only will they be cheering, it is quite possible, based on recent events, that that enough of them, and it only takes a handful of them, would help them, would go to war with them to attack America. That's what we're led to believe. This investigation here from this planned Los Angeles attack, Turtle Island Liberation Front, death to America, basically death to America for every reason.
Let me play John Fetterman yesterday. Democrat John Fetterman. All right, here we go.
All right.
Mainstream outlets like the New York Times is constantly a strong anti-Israel views on those things, and other media as well, to call it what it is. And now here in my own party, I've been incredibly disappointed, and people are trying to pretend these kinds of words and terms like, from the river to the sea, or to globalize the intifada and all those other things. We all know what this means, and I refuse to pander to that. And now for me, it's been a rot, within the American left and within my party.
There you go.
Yeah.
We've said it all along. And I'll say it again. What did you expect? All of this mainstream in the left, in my humble opinion, comes from the identity politics, which has been institutionalized and been mainstreamed in the Democratic Party.
Yep.
I've said that over and over and over again,
Yep.
but Republicans need to say that over and over again, and they don't.
Right.
But it's important to do so when you judge. This isn't that damn hard, Eric.
No, it isn't.
Excuse me, I don't mean to be yelling at you. but it's frustrating because it's like they admit we judge people by groups and not individuals. Well, that's where you get it from. Mm-hmm. The radical transgender movement, the misogyny, the hatred of women, the identity politics, the endorsement of the racist critical race theory. All of this are bigoted, racist, misogynist views. It's been mainstreamed in the Democrat Party, and the Republicans.
Well, and in the era of Brian Thompson being gunned down on the streets and his killer being hailed as a hero, you look at that situation and you start putting the puzzle together. The radicals have zero value in life, in human life. Zero from the beginning. So it doesn't matter for any reason, every reason. My reason today, silence is violence, and I'm going to respond irrationally with violence. And this is who they are.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here this morning, as always. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas, and I hope you're having a great holiday season. When I say that, it's not that I'm afraid to say Christmas. I'm just being inclusive of Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah,
New Year's.
And New Year's. And if anybody has a birthday.
And Festivus.
And Festivus, which is, of course, the 23rd.
Right. Yeah.
The fact that I know that bothers me.
Yeah. Not me. I'm ready to go.
Festivus. Here we come, Festivus. Get out the aluminum pole.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here this morning. Well, the president yesterday coming out and responding. Wow.
Yeah.
Don't even know where to go with that one.
I don't know where to go with that either. The president, you said something. We were talking in the pre-show meeting. It was his on Truth Social, his response to the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife.
Yep.
And then he mentioned in that post, the president mentioned the Russian hoax and that Rob Reiner was someone who helped spread the Russian hoax and all of that.
It was when he was asked a question yesterday when he took questions from reporters, and that's what he went to immediately.
Right.
And I do believe that's why, again, I don't like, it's very tough to look at anybody and say what their exact motive is. And for example, the president trying to, talk about Rob Reiner and his wife and their murder, allegedly by their son, and saying that it's because he had TDS. The problem right now the president has is he's not connecting dots.
Right.
He's not connecting dots on affordability. When after the election in November, in Virginia
mm-hmm.
and in New Jersey, and Vivek Ramaswamy came out and said, we got to tackle affordability. And the Republicans started talking about affordability, and within a week the president's saying affordability is a Democrat hoax.
Yeah.
Again, you're not connecting the dots. And what I mean is everybody knows that, things like food prices, car repairs, cars, things that people actually use in their lives, houses, things that have to be paid each and every month. My insurance just came in again. Oh, man. And I'm an old guy. My insurance should be going down, my car insurance. It continues to go up. These are things that people notice. You cannot take something that is self-evident to people and not connect the dots. It's not hard to connect the dots on illegal immigration. You're here illegally.
Mm-hmm.
Go. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Terrorism is bad. Racism is bad. Anti-Semitism is bad. People that want to destroy the United States, bad. When you get into economics, people look, and a lot of it's based on, well, I'm not really sure what's going on, but I'm going to give the president the benefit of the doubt. We in economics never do that because we know how economics works. So if a Democrat says something that's economically BS, or a Republican says something that's economically BS, we'll call them out on it. we don't give anybody the benefit of the doubt on economics.
Right.
If something's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. But he's not connecting the dots with the American public there. He didn't connect the dots yesterday on that Truth Social post.
Well, here it is. Here it is verbatim. If you didn't see it, here's the president's post on Truth Social in response to the murder of Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump Derangement Syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness, and with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace.
I mean, as I'm saying, you're not connecting any dots because the son allegedly did murder them because his father had TDS.
Well, and, you know, you look at a situation.
There's no evidence that that's the case. The son was a drug addict, had other mental problems that went way, way back what? 15 years?
Yeah.
Nothing to do
they
with
did
Trump
a documentary on it together.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
So
I forgot what it was called.
You know, it was, everybody knows where Rob Reiner was politically. But I again, don't even know how to describe it, don't even know how to respond to the president's post on Truth Social. Inappropriate doesn't start to cover it for me. Because regardless of who the person is, what they believe, what they say, and they might engage, in fact, full on in TDS and the whole thing. The murder of that person and his wife by a family member is tragic. Period. It's tragic. And it reeks of, again, wanting to make it about
him.
Yeah. The president wanting this to be about him. And this tragedy, I think we've yet to learn even the tip of the iceberg on this tragedy, because we're learning more and have in the last 12, 24 hours about his son and what they were going through and what was going on. But there are people on the right that had great relationships with Rob Reiner, and that doesn't even play into it. It's, again, when you look at the loss of life and the nature of how these lives were lost, and now it's believed at the hands of their own son, that kind of tragedy, that I don't care who they are. I don't care if I didn't know them or nobody knew them, if they weren't famous. If it wasn't in a mansion in California, but yet a 900 square foot tiny home in a small town, it would be just as tragic.
Let's be accurate. Tiny homes are under 399 square feet.
So this response is just bizarre.
Yeah. Well, when he said yesterday, when he was asked a question on it, and he didn't respond, he didn't answer the question. He simply went that Rob Reiner was part of the Russia collusion hoax. And I went, that's it right there. That's it right there. That's what got Trump. Now, I could be wrong. It's speculation, but the fact is, I believe he looks at it and says, Rob Reiner was one that kept that lie alive. And the Russia collusion hoax and everything that went with it, and everything, because we all know that now this is the thing, Rob Reiner would go on with anybody. He would go on with the right.
Mm-hmm.
Laura Ingraham talked about it. She saw him at a party and said, and they were laughing, joking. He said, well, would you come on tomorrow? Oh, yeah, I'll be on tomorrow. And he came on tomorrow. He went on with Bill Maher. He would go on. If you asked him to go on, he would go on.
Mm-hmm.
And at times he came across like a crazed liberal.
Yeah.
He did. I mean, he did because we know what the symptoms are of it. But I think that Trump looks at everything that happened because of Russia collusion and everything else that Rob Reiner would say when everything with the lawfare and everything else, where Rob Reiner ended up being wrong on those things, that those people that supported that were not just trying to destroy his political career, they were trying to destroy his life and put him in jail. And I think Trump can't forgive that. He looks at that and says, sorry, you get no break on that no matter what. I think that's his mindset on that. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is.
It would make sense. But, as you point out, the president won. We look at the greatest, quite possibly the greatest political comeback in American history and of any presidential race, of any presidential career. My gosh, with everything that was thrown at him.
Well, then there's the other thing, too, as you just said. You won, plus politically, does this help you to do that?
Well, remember, I don't know who you're trying to rally. I don't know who. Rob Reiner is no longer around for you to target. You've got loved ones that are grieving, including his other children, one of whom found them. For the love of God, show some respect.
I think there was, and you and I agreed with this, that when you looked at the response from MAGA, whatever MAGA is these days, when you had Laura Ingraham come out and say, I really got along with him, when you had, what's his name from The Blaze, Glenn Beck, come out and talk about how sad it was. James Woods was on Fox News last night. You had a number of Ted Cruz came out and talked about how sad he was about the loss of his life. The thing about Rob Reiner, like most people, James Woods said, he saved my career in Ghost of Mississippi. He saved it. I had no career. He saved it. I was nominated for an Emmy, and that changed my entire career. And they'd be laughing and joking. He goes, well, no, he is earnest in his positions. When Charlie Kirk was killed, was murdered, he was sympathetic towards it, and so politically, I think it really hurt the president, and I think now everything that's going on right now with affordability. You have MAGA being peeled away from the president right now.
Yeah.
He's not making sense on affordability, and that's the number one thing. And there is a sense in Republicans that he will be the cause of the loss in the midterms next year. Justifiable or not, because it hasn't happened yet, I believe that's a belief from a significant portion of people that once called themselves MAGA. If you went on to X yesterday and saw on conservative sites, on populist conservative sites, on MAGA sites, the number of people who criticize Trump, you haven't seen that before.
Right.
You have not. And I go back to the whole, remember when he hit John McCain?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The whole John McCain thing.
Right.
There was a lot more support for that, which was ridiculous because that was reprehensible, what he said about John McCain at that time.
Right.
But it's who he is. I mean, I'm not shocked by it. A lot of people were shocked. I'm like, well, that's, it's a way that Trump is. He's a lame duck president now. He's not going to serve another term. And so you're going to see politically more pushback when he does stuff like this from people that have supported him.
Well, and we've seen the fissures, and they're greater than fissures now in the foundation of MAGA. And someone wrote the story. I was trying to see if I bookmarked it about that over the weekend. Basically, that if you look at where MAGA is and what they want, what they're expecting from the president, and it's on a number of fronts, then you start to see that widening gap between that core and the president. And then you start to see his approval numbers dropping, and that becomes a much bigger problem, because then you look at it, because I don't know where the strength is in the Republican Party. We'll look at people like Ramaswamy and you know, a pretty decent list of others that have a future in the Republican Party, no doubt. But the future of the Republican Party is different than just looking in an isolated way at the midterm that is November 3rd of 2026. Because you have the House that must be kept right now, and the margin is very slim, and I put that on the GOP. And the strength going in 2024 was Donald Trump. If he can't carry the GOP like he did in 2024, then I don't have any confidence in the GOP itself to get it done in 26.
Somebody sent me a message yesterday and said, I wish right now that J.D. Vance was president, because he would enact the same policies of Trump, but what happened yesterday would never have happened. That J.D. Vance would not have reacted that way to the death of Rob Reiner. And we need somebody to, then this is somebody who is loyal MAGA, we need somebody who will promote and continue MAGA without the theater around it.
Yeah.
The drama around it.
Yeah. It's definitely taking its toll. And again, because it's weighing on the other things that are causing that gap to widen between the MAGA base and the president.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Slight increases in beef production forecast for this year and next.
Up about 190 million pounds for 2025 and about 340 million pounds next year.
And lower month-over-month steer prices for 2025 and 26.
We reduced our steer price forecast by $2 per hundredweight for 2025. And then into 2026, we brought it down by about $11 per hundredweight.
World Agricultural Outlook Board Chair Mark Jekanowski with the USDA December Beef Outlook. Behind the beef production rise both years, heavier weights for steers. As for the lower price projections, recent price weakness in both cash and future prices.
And at the same time next year, there have been a few announcements of reduced slaughter capacity as well. So that would be expected to reduce the demand for cattle at some degree on the margin and contribute to lower prices there.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We're Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Cronin. I'm Gary McNamara. Almost forgot my own name. Just very quickly, because I got a couple of emails on it yesterday, and you're right, I have mentioned it before. A couple of people said, didn't you mention that Rob Reiner was once on the Rockford Files? And by the way, in all the Rockford Files sites yesterday, that was put up there. Yes, he played a football player of a semi-pro team.
All right.
And he was called, was it King Sturdivant, I think it was. And that actually comes from a real live person. It comes from, if anybody's ever seen it, if you're around my age, you probably saw it. I think it was like 1971, the ESPN, the Pottsboro, Pennsylvania Firebirds, which was a semi-pro team, and Jim the King Corcoran, who was the quarterback there, and it was a documentary on semi-pro football. And they redid it again about 10 years ago, again, and they couldn't find the King. Or I think they did find the King. It was in Vegas or something. He ended up dying a couple of years ago, but he was a character. But, I know the episode, just so the people that have said, we thought you talked about it. Yes, I did talk about it. It is one of my favorite Rockford File episodes of all time.
Give the gift of the Red Eye Radio app. Merry Christmas from Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. Red Eye Radio.
Ho, ho, ho. I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when you choose.
And thank you.
So we had talked about it a couple of weeks ago that in the Rasmussen daily tracking poll, the president hit his lowest numbers ever last week. He's back up now a couple of points, but he was at 43%. And we said that's a problem. You know, you can look at some of the pollsters and you can say, well, okay, we don't buy them, but Rasmussen is considered a conservative pollster that loves Trump.
Right.
And Mark Mitchell has made it clear many times. Washington Post did this story. As Donald Trump ate his crab cake lunch inside the White House last month, conservative pollster Mark Mitchell tried to explain that there was a disconnect between what the administration seemed to be focused on and what Trump's passionate base of supporters wanted to see. Sir, you got shot at the Butler rally, Mitchell said, invoking real strong optics of Trump raising his fist in defiance after the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania in July of 2024. You said fight, 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 but nobody ever clarified what that means, Mitchell continued. And right now, you're fighting Marjorie Taylor Greene and not actually fighting for Americans. The head pollster at Rasmussen Reports warned Trump that many of his supporters believed he had not drained the swamp in Washington and suggested the president refocus with the plan to embrace pragmatic economic populism. That also relates to the story about the members of Congress wanting another reconciliation bill to make affordability an issue. You know what those code words are for? Give people government money.
Ah, yes.
Because there's no other way to change it.
Right. No, you're going to have to spend.
There's no other way. There's no other way. You're not going to change the economy between now and November.
No.
Just organically. It's not going to happen.
Right.
Prices aren't going to fall organically. Now, you may have 200 things that will drop in price because of the removal of the tariffs of foodstuffs, and that might help a little bit. But as he said here, to the extent in which we were talking about the economic populism message, he wasn't as interested as I would have hoped, Mitchell said, adding that it was a long-ranging conversation.
Yeah.
Mitchell's critique echoes a growing chorus of MAGA faithful raising concerns over what they see as Trump's second-term shortcomings. In recent weeks, pockets of his base, known for its unwavering dedication to Trump and his MAGA agenda, have accused him of focusing too much on foreign affairs, failing to address the cost of living issues he pledged to fix, aligning himself too closely with billionaires and tech moguls, and resisting the release of more investigative files on the deceased sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein. Across the conservative spectrum, a steady drumbeat of commentators has warned that Trump's coalition is weakened and that the party is headed for defeat in midterm elections in November. There are concerns that the base won't show up over frustrations that Trump has not pursued the MAGA agenda aggressively enough. And others worry that economic concerns could threaten his standing with independent voters, a key block in the midterms.
I think it's really the latter in that case. There are some issues the MAGA base has, no doubt. But the economy is everything. And you need the independents. The GOP needs the independents in November.
Here it is. Trump's top advisors have taken note of criticism from within MAGA and see it as part of a cyclical feedback the administration will receive throughout his term. As one senior White House official put it, Trump staff members have planned for him to begin holding near weekly rallies to tout his accomplishments after spending little time on the stump this year, two officials told the Washington Post, speaking on the condition of anonymity. But his first step of that effort at a casino in Pennsylvania last week, Trump again mocked the word affordability. As we said last week, he was all over the place in that rally.
And in that same speech, walking that back.
He mocked the word affordability, and then, as they put it here, that he walked it back, saying, I can't say affordability is a hoax because I agree that prices were too high. And so we said he was all over the place there. And then when he talked about the fact that if prices are too high, stop buying things, we just said, my God, where the hell is he going?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter if the White House is sitting there thinking rallies are going to change it. No, the message isn't going to. Words aren't going to change it now.
No.
And that's why I know why Mark Mitchell said you need to have an economic populist message. I understand why the Republicans in Congress, we need to have an economic populist, another reconciliation, big, beautiful bill. For what? To borrow money from future generations to give money to people.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that's what economic populism is.
When I saw that yesterday playing out, I thought, here we go. This is now the GOP scrambling. We've got to do something. We got to try something.
Yeah.
We got to hurl something. And what do? You hurl money. Assistance means money.
Well, I mean, he's out, and it's like, and we've said it for the longest time, and by the way, we've been criticized, and now it seems as people are understanding that we weren't BSing you. We were telling you the truth. Mm-hmm. And when we started saying the president is talking about economics the same way that Biden was.
Yeah.
Then you saw that come out last week where more people were saying, why does he sound like Biden? Why is he taking something that is self-evident to people and telling them they're not really experiencing it? Why is he saying affordability is a hoax, a Democrat hoax, and then coming out and walking that back saying, well, maybe it isn't, and then telling people, well, then again, telling people tariff is my favorite word, and then taking off tariffs from 200 products because he believes, and he's sending the message out that it's right, it's raising the cost of goods and services out there. He's all over the damn place, and you can't be that way.
Yeah. And,
and then if you confront him on it, any reporter, it's simply, well, your network sucks anyway. Even Fox now. Fox sucks. News Nation sucks.
Yeah.
What network doesn't suck now that Trump doesn't like? And it finally wears on people, and it's starting to wear on your base.
That's the problem, is that at one point he could carry his base anywhere with him, and they would go. That is no longer the case. It isn't right now. It may become the case again. But at this moment, it's not the case. And there were moments where he could carry the base, and they'd go, well, we're not sure what he means, but okay, we're still with him. And they would go. but you're losing them. What this reeks of is somebody who knows they're on a raft, alone, untethered. And when you're untethered from your base politically, it doesn't end well. It's you're heading into the season. The midterm has begun. I was walking through the scenario yesterday in my mind of the Supreme Court coming in, and if they overturn, based on authority, if they overturn tariffs, then the left is going to take that and run with it. Because you would think, well, the market might respond positively, right? Business might respond positively. And then you could come in and, I don't know, if you're, you could look at the numbers, let's say by July, and things are going okay. But the left is likely to take that and run with it and say, well, if not for the Supreme Court, then this wouldn't have happened. And this is the problem. The GOP is scrambling now, too, with this bill. I don't know what they're going to come up with next. But throw anything and everything. We talked about health care. I fully expect them to cave on health care. I don't know what the cave will look like, but it's not going to, again, they're not going to change. They're not going to move the needle. And it was always going to be something like this, to be days away from the end of their session here, going, oh, we should do something about Obamacare. And this thing started years ago. So the frustration is on all fronts. You had a president who could lead his party in his second term very much unlike what he was doing in his first term, even though he was getting results in his first term economically that were much different. And that's pre-inflation, which the inflation isn't on him, but you own it once you start making promises they can't keep. Bringing prices down.
Well, and then when you say one thing and do another on economics,
and
that's also a problem.
This is again, you're looking at a scenario that is politically, it's chaos, and the GOP is filled with chaos. Before you touch on any of this, we've got a slim margin in the House, a slim margin in the Senate.
By the way, I would disagree. I think that where they say he's done too much on foreign policy and not, he's done exactly what he wants to do on the economy.
Yeah.
It's what he's wanted. It's not like he's ignored it. He's done exactly what.
No, he's been very active.
He's very active. And on most of the foreign policy things he has done, I agree with. I think he's done a great job.
Right.
But I think there's a part of MAGA that didn't want him to side with Israel.
Well, and
not a big part.
Right.
But
well,
I think
and remember, a significant
or get as involved and go after the nuclear sites in Iran.
That's it. Yeah. We talked about this. They believed fully that he was an isolationist.
Yeah, exactly.
And he never has been.
No.
And now they see that and say, this isn't what we wanted. This isn't why we supported you. Now that's on them.
Right.
For deeming him an isolationist, which he hasn't been.
No.
Don't mistake the words that he's used for decades of other nations paying their own way and us staying out of wars as a complete isolationist, but they did. That's the opinion they formed in their mind. And so now you have, look at all the different things that we've touched on. And that's where the fracturing of the base starts to happen. And you need more than the base. I mean, putting the base back together is one thing. You've got to have independents on board, and that's where the populism comes in, and that's why you see the GOP scrambling here. This is what Mark Mitchell was apparently trying to tell the president at this lunch he had with him at the White House last month.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We're Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Well, I was looking at some of the healthcare stuff, and I forgot what it was. Was it? It was Reason Magazine, which is the libertarian magazines. Talking about the Republicans are they're around the edges of attempting to solve the problem, but I got mind blank here. I've been sick here, folks.
Well, I don't
know the Kentucky senator, Rand Paul.
Yeah,
right. They're saying Rand Paul's plan. And Rand Paul's plan basically is what we've said all along.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to solve the problem with health care, it's high deductible HSAs.
Yeah,
that's it.
Right.
You have high deductible, and you let people do HSAs, and you lift the cap on it.
Right.
That's what you do. And then you look at the high deductible, and then you take care of the catastrophic, and then you have people invest, especially the high earners, and then there's no reason, because the subsidies that are for Obamacare right now were for higher earners.
Yeah.
That was the whole point.
Right. Doesn't make any sense.
No.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.